today's show, it's a tradition that dates back thousands of years. But that doesn't mean driving a sled dog team is easy. Just ask Laura Shera.
Good dog.
And next, what do you get when you blend art and nature and sprinkle in a little bit of bling? Coming up on Wild in the Kitchen, Laura is taking it from the field to the stovetop, the perfect recipe for that pheasant in your freezer.
Woo.
Our Minnesota-bound classic this week takes a look back at one of Laura's favorite river trips, down the Flambeau River, where the fishing and floating is pretty good. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show, and as you can see, we have a very special guest with us today, daughter Laura. Now you just returned from quite an adventure of your own.
That's right, Dad, I did. And most of us are used to plowing through the snow using horsepower, gas, and oil, but I took an adventure using dog power.
Dog power?
We all know about horsepower. Have you ever experienced a supercharged ride with dog power?
Well, we can hook up first team. You all set?
Want to try your own dog-powered adventure? Well, doggone it, I've found a way. Meet Jack Christopher, Master Musher and Husky Whisperer.
Siberians are a real handful. They're high-strung, headstrong animals that you need to keep control over. I picked up probably about 8 rescues to build my first team. It's a healthy lifestyle for these dogs. You know, rode a skateboard when I was a kid, and a lot of cross-country skiing, and driving a dog sled is really combining all those types of skills. I slowly built up a team, started running dog sleds on weekends, demonstrations or presentations or giving dog sled rides. This is typical of what I would call my mushing experience, designed to be about an hour-long session.
All right, Jack, so today you're going to teach me how to mush a team of dogs. But what does the term mush mean anyway?
Well, mushing is really what we're doing. I'm a musher, I drive dogs. So mushing is basically meaning you're driving dogs. These dogs are pretty disciplined down to a few words. I was at an event last weekend, and the guys standing on the back of the sleds are yelling mush. Dogs don't know what that means.
They don't?
I yell hike. Hike! That's kind of my test of whether people know what they're talking about.
Speaking of phrases, another task is to memorize the team roster. My team members were all named after trout lakes in Minnesota's Boundary Waters.
And then who's this?
This is Makwa, Gijikiki.
Gijikiki.
This one's Saganaga. You've probably heard of Saganaga before. This is Gaba Michigami. Cherokee. I don't remember where your lake is, Cherry. I often run 2 teams at a time. One was 6, one was 7.
So what are the basics for someone like myself who's never done this before?
This is my big freighter dog sled. Starts with a big brush bow, so you can bounce off of trees and rocks and stumps. These are snow hooks to hold the sled in place when I'm not going. And on the back, we got the hard brake here. This is really just meant to hold the team in place. Hanging off the hard brake is a drag pad. It's just a hunk of snowmobile track.
So the brake is, I'm guessing, one of the most important parts.
People ask me all the time, well, what do the dogs do if you lose the team? Do they just stop and wait, or do they loop back for you? Heck no, they think they won. We use equestrian terms, so ha's left, G is right, ho is to stop. They're really gonna respond more to your weight on that pad and or on this brake. They'll feel it, they'll resist it, but they'll slow down. It's kind of like stopping a train.
Wow, my team's ready to go like a well-oiled, custom-built hot rod firing on all cylinders.
I'm by, let's go. Good dog.
Me? I was just praying for no red squirrels.
No. G. Good girl. Hike.
My team was running smooth.
I'm by, let's go. No, on by, whoa.
Well, most of the time.
Potty break. On by, up.
As I traveled across the snow and ice, it was obvious this is what these dogs were bred to do, as they expressed their joy in pure silence. Me too. A silent adventure free of squirrels.
Up next, our outdoor adventurers can create special memories through the years. How about bringing those memories full circle?
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Rapala Ice Force. Borderview Lodge. And by Star Bank.
Welcome back to the show. You know, many of us spend time in the great outdoors to create memories. Well, up next is a story of a family who will take your experience from the deer stand and turn it into a memento of a lifetime.
Passion for the outdoors is carried on by the stories we share. Such as the tale behind that 8-point buck hanging on the wall. Have you ever thought your story could be on your ring finger?
People come to us and see that we can use an antler in a ring, and I think that's what's so special about our rings.
We ask the hunters to send in their own antlers. They can wear it on their finger and they can have it as a conversation piece.
This unique jewelry started as an idea in a garage by a man who had a vision for art and nature.
One day I saw a pen that was made from antler. So I decided, why not, make a ring out of it? We made our first antler ring and it just took off.
Took off indeed.
Then we were probably doing 30, 40 a week, where now we're up to 200.
His eye and design for antler jewelry has spread around the globe.
We get antlers from all over the world, Australia, of course Canada a lot, New Zealand, the UK, many countries.
It perhaps an irony that hunters are sending their prized antlers to be scaled down. But maybe that's what has us spending hours chasing bucks. Every hunter knows it's the size of the memory that matters and not the antler.
So you can share that, you can bring that antler on the wall, you bring it out onto their finger, and it means a lot more to me than now everyone can see what you shot.
No worries if you're still waiting for your bull elk or 10-point buck. They've got you covered.
Because many people can't supply us with a thick enough antler to make a ring.
The antler piece should be about 1.5 by 1.5.
Or we can take theirs and crunch it up. Make smaller pieces and it's like small flakes.
Your time in a deer stand doesn't compare to the time required to create an antler ring.
This work takes a lot of your hours, 24/7. There's no time off. It's labor intensive. There's no machine that can just make it. You have to sit there and make it.
Sharing your trophy is one reason to cut up an antler, but another? Sharing the love you have for each other.
His and hers is a big thing. She kills her own buck and he has his, and then we make them the rings. We try and tell them this is the way hunters say I do.
And as they say, a true love story never has an ending.
So we had a customer who had designed their own ring. His love of bow hunting was the inspiration for my arrow design. The arrow represents a parallel of our life. I'm so excited to present this timeless piece to my BFF. Thank you to those who put in many hours creating this piece for me.
Now your antler can ring in a daily reminder to follow your arrow to love and happiness.
Being able to make it into jewelry, it's kind of just makes it full circle. In a sense, like the ring, you can continue to carry that story.
Yes, the outdoors gives us lots of great stories. Now, shared on your ring finger.
A little bit of pepper, and then we're going to take it to a saute pan.
Coming up on Wild in the Kitchen, it's time to clean out that freezer and enjoy the great taste of ringneck pheasant.
Closed captioning from Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Lake of the Woods Tourism.
Okay, it's time to go wild in the kitchen. Now, what's cooking today, Laura?
Ooh, something delicious, Dad, one of your favorites. It's prosciutto wrapped pheasant.
Wow.
Today we're getting wild in the kitchen with Chef Jim Kinberg from Firelight Grill House and Cocktail Bar, and today we are making something that sounds amazingly delicious. It's spinach stuffed prosciutto wrapped pheasant. And I know we're cooking with a little bit of cheese curds.
Cheese curds, definitely.
Who doesn't love cheese curds? So how do we get started with this recipe?
We've got the pheasant breast right here.
Okay.
And if you notice, I cut the breast just right in half. 2 little pheasant cutlets. We're gonna season it very lightly with salt, a little bit of pepper, and then we're gonna take it to a saute pan. If you wanna just add a little olive oil to a nice hot pan, 2-3 minutes, we're gonna flip them, and they're done as soon as they get a little bit of color on them. All right, so let's take a little peek under there.
Ooh, nice.
Look at that nice golden brown color. Look at that. Now that we've flipped them, they're pretty much cooked, so we're just gonna kind of take those off the heat. So you notice we have some cheese curd crumbles. These are the little remnants of after they cut the cheese curds, but we discovered a really cool method. We just lay them out on a sheet pan using a little bit of parchment paper. And then we're gonna bake these in a 400-degree oven, and then we're gonna wrap that around the edge of the pheasant. So we're gonna take our pheasant that we seared off, lay it right on a couple of strips of prosciutto that we laid out. What I wanna do is just kind of roll it like that. See how we're doing with our cheese curds. Look at that. When it's still hot, the cheese is really pliable. And just like we rolled the prosciutto,
wow.
Look at that. We're gonna do the same thing with those cheese curds. We're gonna return that to the oven for just a minute. Let that finish crisping up. Perfect. Getting wild and fancy in the kitchen today. So we're gonna trim those ends up just a little bit and then cut it in half on the bias. Stack that up like so. Got some nice fresh veggies here. And then one of my favorite quick sauces. We're just gonna take a really nice extra virgin olive oil, kind of drizzle this around. And then take a nice balsamic vinegar and drizzle that around.
All right, there's nothing better than Minnesota pheasant and Wisconsin cheese together, so I'm gonna take
There you go, match made in heaven. What do you think about that?
Now that was good. All right, if you want to get wild and maybe a little fancy in the kitchen, you must try this recipe. Nothing better than stuffed prosciutto and cheese curd wrapped pheasant. So easy to do, yet so wildly delicious.
Nice.
This week on our Minnesota Bound Classic, Laura remembers an adventure that involved nature, some canoe floating, and some memorable fishing moments, all in a river known as the Flambeau.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Connecticut, Tracker Boats, and by Totem Resorts.
It's time now for a Minnesota Bound classic, one where I float the Flambeau River that was like a wilderness experience.
It's a foggy morning on the banks of Wisconsin's Flambeau River. This is the North Branch, and in no way is fog going to halt our intentions to float and fish. As somebody once wrote, rivers know this. There is no hurry, and we shall get there someday.
This is your baby.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that pretty?
That's my fishing guide, Bill Planton.
This is my home away from home. This is where I go when I need to get away to fish places that are remote and yet dear to your heart, places where you create memories.
Bill loves rivers, especially this one with its unusual name. Flambeau is a French term meaning burning or lighted torch. How that turned into a name of a river? I have no idea. Speaking of names, mine is Laura Shera.
Beautiful purple color.
It is, isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
This will be a lure that I think we can have some good luck with.
My guide invented the
Those are
River
for
Ridge
you.
canoe,
This is
and he
also
knows how to pack one too.
This has got your snacks in it, your fun food.
Crocs and a nice Tommy Hilfiger book bag with all my goodies in it.
And this thing rocks. Why do we do a fluke? I'll tell you why we do. A fluke has a see on the inside, it's got an edge where you can put the hook if you were going to fish it weedless.
Okay.
We fish it the opposite direction and we put a little stinger hook on it.
My fishing questions answered. Soon we were adrift on the Flambeau. A dream is like a river, Garth Brooks once sang. You know, it's true of history too. The Flambeau once was a travel route for Native Americans. Then, a highway for fur traders.
Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
And in early 20th century, the river carried giant white pine logs to help build America.
1936.
1936.
Today, the Flambeau carries us too.
Got him? You've just got to be on the water. And this is one of those rivers when you put in and you get off at the end of the day. You are at some point in the day going to discover there's a section of time when it's magic.
There you go, fish. And he's off. That was fun. Let's catch some more.
Oh, got one on right now. No, it's a big smallie this time.
Whoa, that was...
Oh, Nelly, did you see that jump? What a sweetheart.
Okay, the Flambeau's getting hot. Maybe that's where the name comes from.
Got a fish.
Oh! Oh, nice fish, Laura. Wow, what a beauty.
There we go. Barely hooked, but hooked enough.
A nice fish.
There he goes.
Then my guide had a nice idea.
Olives and pickles and carrots.
Having a shore lunch on a riverbank, well, the scenery doesn't get much better. Ditto for the food.
Ooh, that is good.
Then it was back to the whims of the Flambeau.
Oh, right there, I got another one. Wow. Come on, buddy. Woo. This is a good one.
Nice fish.
Yeah.
In our canoes and what we do and how we do it,
Right.
you know, it's one of those rivers that you just want to keep coming back to time after time. Absolutely, and you know what, you'll
As
love
the
it.
French might say,
Perfect.
the Flambeau,
Ready to roll?
it lights up your fishing life.
Ooh, got it. Of all the nature and beauty.
Wow, Laura, you know, that trip made me envious. You caught a lot of fish.
I did catch a lot of fish.
Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Shera. This is Laura Shera, and of course, the star of the show is right here, Raven. Yes, and she knows.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com. Share your stories on the Minnesota Bound Facebook page under the Share Your Story tab.